Greyhawk is a land of shifting power, ancient secrets and endless conflict. Kingdoms rise, empires fall, and the balance between order and chaos is never settled for long. The world is called Oerth, and its most storied region is the Flanaess, a vast land of city-states, wild frontiers and ruined civilizations. Magic lingers in forgotten places, armies gather along fragile borders, and far from the thrones and temples, new powers begin to stir. Before kingdoms rose and borders were drawn, the West was consumed by war. The mighty empires of the Suel and Baklunish destroyed each other in a final exchange of devastating magic. One summoned a rain of colorless fire that turned the land to lifeless ash. The other unleashed a storm that shattered cities and buried them beneath the sands. The aftermath left only ruin. Where once great capitals stood, now stretched the sea of dust and the desolate west. Refugees fled eastward, tribes of Oeridians, Suel and Baklunish, seeking new homes across the vast and untamed lands of the Flanaess. But they were not the first. The Flan people had lived here long before, scattered in forest villages and hill forts, devoted to old gods and sacred groves. As newcomers arrived, some Flan were conquered, others absorbed. Culture blended with conflict. New gods were worshipped, new cities founded, and old ways forgotten or buried. After the great migration settled, kingdoms rose swiftly across the Flanaess. Some were forged in battle, others through alliance, but all sought to tame a land still scarred by cataclysm. In the west, Caoland emerged as the first great realm, formed not by conquest but by unity. Suel and Oeridian nobles bound their houses through marriage and accord, creating a kingdom of long-lived kings and quiet strength. Though its armies marched in later centuries, Caoland's heart remained rooted in stability and trade. To the east, the Kingdom of Aerdy grew from the ambitions of Oeridian warlords. What began as a frontier domain expanded rapidly, conquering Flan tribes and rival houses. From its capital at Rauxis, the Aerdy proclaimed themselves rulers of the Great Kingdom, claiming dominion over the eastern Flanaess. For generations, their rule was absolute, but power breeds pride. As the Great Kingdom grew decadent, its provinces drifted toward autonomy. Rebellions flared, dark pacts were made. The throne of Ross, once a symbol of order, became a seat of madness and cruelty. New realms rose in the gaps, Veluna, guided by divine counsel, Nyrond, born of rebellion. The Ulek states, where dwarves and humans coexisted in uneasy alliance. Furiondi, proud and martial, stood as a bulwark against the chaos from the east. And in the center of it all, the free city of Greyhawk grew powerful without a crown. Founded near ancient cairns, it became a haven for merchants, wizards, and adventurers, answering to no king, yet influencing many. By the 6th century, the Flanaess had become a patchwork of proud nations, fragile alliances, and old rivalries. The age of building had passed. An age of unrest had begun. Greyhawk owed its rise to no crown. It answered to no king. Governed by merchants, mages, and guilds, it became a neutral ground amid warring states. Here, trade thrived. Goods from the Amadio jungle, the Baklunish west, and the Near Div converged in its markets. Gold spoke louder than blood, and opportunity lured all who dared. But beneath Greyhawk's towers and spires lies its darker legend, Castle Greyhawk, the shattered ruin of a mad mage's dream. Zagig Irregerne, once Lord Mayor and wizard beyond reckoning, built the castle in secret and obsession. He dug deep into the earth, creating a dungeon that defied understanding, a maze of magic, traps, monsters, and gates to other worlds. Some say Zagig vanished into his own creation. Others claim he captured a god within those walls. Whatever truth lies buried, Castle Greyhawk became a magnet for adventurers. Many entered, few returned. Riches, relics, and ruin await below, along with riddles the world still cannot explain. Today, Greyhawk is called the Gem of the Flanaess, not for its beauty, but for its value. It is a city where coin can buy nearly anything, where information is a weapon, and where power shifts with every whisper. The Flanaess is home to a wide range of cultures and races, shaped by ancient migrations and long-standing rivalries. 4 major human ethnic groups dominate its history: the Flan, Oeridians, Suel, and Baklunish. Though bloodlines have mixed over generations, their origins still influence regional identity, customs, and politics. The Flan are the indigenous people of the Flanaess. Once widespread, they now live mostly in rural areas and among the more remote nations like Tenh and the rovers of the Barrens. Their culture favors druidic traditions, ancestor worship, and deep ties to nature. Some Flan bloodlines, particularly in old northern lands, trace back to vanished kingdoms lost long before the migrations. The Oeridians were the most successful of the migratory peoples. Fierce and adaptable, they moved east after the cataclysms and quickly established dominance. Many modern nations, including the former Great Kingdom, Nyrond, Furiondi, and Veluna, are rooted in Oeridian heritage. Their language, common, became the trade tongue of the Flanaess. The Sueluis arrived as refugees fleeing the destruction of their empire. They settled along the southeast coast and southern jungles, often clashing with their neighbors or isolating themselves. Some integrated into other cultures, while others preserved their bloodlines and traditions with zeal. The Scarlet Brotherhood, a secretive order devoted to Suel supremacy, emerged from this lineage. The Baklunish settled the northwest, bringing with them refined customs, religious scholarship, and a culture shaped by prophecy and honor. Their influence defines the nations of Zaif, Ekbir, Tusmit, and Ket. Though distant from the heart of the Flanaess, Baklunish traders, scholars, and mercenaries are common across the continent. Among the non-human peoples, the elves maintain strongholds in forests like Selene and the Vesve. The dwarves remain in the mountains, particularly the Lortmills and the Iron Hills, valuing craftsmanship and kinship. Gnomes are concentrated in the Kron Hills, known for their cleverness and curiosity. Halflings live scattered in human lands, blending into local communities. Orcs, goblins, and other monstrous races dwell in borderlands, mountains, and wastelands. In places like the Pommage and Bone March, they have carved out brutal dominions of their own, often raiding or expanding at the expense of their neighbors. The people of the Flanaess live by the favor of their gods. Dozens of deities are worshipped across the continent. Among the most widely revered is Pelor, god of the sun, healing, and strength. Farmers, soldiers, and kings alike offer him prayers for light and victory. Hieronius, god of honor and chivalry, is favored in lands like Furiondi, where knightly orders uphold his code. His bitter rival, Hextor, god of tyranny and war, finds favor in harsher realms, especially those once ruled by the Great Kingdom. Saint Cuthbert, a stubborn god of retribution and discipline, is common among city folk and magistrates. Bokob, the uncaring, is revered by wizards and scholars as the god of magic and foresight, though he offers little guidance. Jas, a Suel goddess of death and magic, is worshipped by necromancers, judges, and arcane orders, respected as much for lore as for fear. The Flan still honor Beori, goddess of nature and the earth, and Obadhai, god of the wilds and the changing seasons. These deities are often served by druids and wanderers who avoid urban life. The Baklunish faith centers on Istus, goddess of fate, and Al-Akbar, a prophet and divine figure of lore and healing. These traditions are strongest in Zaif, Ekbir, and Tusmit. Dark cults persist as well. Vecna, the whispering god of secrets and undeath, attracts followers in hidden circles. Inkabulos, god of plague and despair, is feared more than worshipped. And above all, Iuz, a demigod of cruelty and domination, rules a kingdom in the north, his worship enforced by blade and terror. The gods of Oerth do not often intervene directly, but their influence is real. Power flows through those who serve them. Nations rise and fall in their names, and in the hearts of mortals, faith remains one of the strongest forces in the world. Greyhawk is a land built on ruin and ambition. Its kingdoms rise, fall, and rebuild across centuries. Old powers linger beneath mountains and marshes. New threats stir in distant corners. No realm is safe. No victory is final. Adventurers are the constant. Mercenaries, scholars, outcasts, and heroes travel the Flanaess in search of gold, glory, or purpose. Some die forgotten in sunken tombs. Others change the course of history. In Greyhawk, the world watches those bold enough to act. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're heading next into the world of Dragonlance, Where gods wage war, dragons return, and the fate of Krynn lies in mortal hands.